Most people are deceived quickly because they are thirsty for instant peace and do not see the traps hidden behind big promises. Hello, everyone. I wish you a good heart and a beautiful life. I'm Lena, and together we will travel to the inner world and walk the path of awareness. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my latest videos. Thank you so much for supporting me and cheering me up with your kind heart. Most people are deceived quickly because they are thirsty for instant peace and do not see the traps hidden behind big promises. This is a quote from someone who taught Satan himself. Niccolo Machiavelli, the Italian thinker who wrote a book to control and dominate people, a book that in history, many dictators have applied tricks of it to their people. But the question is, why are the people of the world so obedient and so easily deceived? Why is it so easier to follow the crowd than to give a personal opinion? A dark psychological fact with which we are controlled today, and today we want to examine this issue together from the perspectives of psychology and then come up with a solution. We talk about how when everyone is moving in the same direction, we don't have to be afraid and have our own opinion and not follow blindly. And then we look at a strange experiment in the 1950s, which shows what humans are willing to do in order to get the approval of others. And we also hear the perspective of Mr. Todd Rose, the famous author of the book The Black Horse. This experiment reminds us of an important question in our minds, which is that we are really living for ourselves and the answers to the questions that are necessary for all of us to be aware, especially in a world full of glamorous and of course full of media lies and empty propaganda that just want to take our money from us. Many of us may disagree in our minds with the general beliefs and behaviors that we see around us. But when we enter the crowd, we do the same things that other people do, even if we don't agree with them. We may think that we do not have the power to change the situation, or that it is better to conform to the congregation and behave like them in order to maintain our peace and security. We might say, I can't change the world, so why should I oppose the others? Now, is this really true? Why do we still follow them, even though we disagree with them in reality? Doesn't these behaviors contradict our true beliefs? Can't we really change our society and the environment around us by our behavior? In the 1950s, a social psychologist, Salomon Asch, conducted an experiment that showed how willing people are to let go of the things they consider right and behave like the majority. In this experiment, one person was shown a card with a line on it, and then another card with 3 lines A, B, and C, with only the C line the same size as the first line. That is, suppose they had a test line, and they put 3 lines in front of it called A, B, and C, and they asked the other person to say which of these 3 lines was the same size as the one in their hand. But this experiment had a point. Before the participant commented, the other 7 people, who were actually collaborators of those teams and were not participants at all, chose line B as the line of equal length. And the interesting and frightening statistic is that the real participant, 37% of the time, instead of giving the correct answer, did the same thing as the others. That is, he said that the B line was the same length as the nameless line, even though he knew that the C line was the correct answer. Of the 123 people who participated, 2/3 had joined the group at least once. This experiment confirms what philosophers have been repeating for thousands of years. They say that most people prefer to follow what others say rather than discover the truth, even if it is wrong. This experiment clearly shows the extent to which humans are willing to put aside their own opinions and act like everyone else. It's not something philosophers and scientists have just discovered, but it's an age-old fact of human nature. Todd Rose, one of the contemporary psychologists, said, "We naturally like to be in the majority, even if we strongly disagree with their opinions." Our brains cannot understand the difference between reality and appearance in social situations. This is also at the root of our evolution. Humans who lived in the past in order to save their lives tried to always be with the crowd to be safe from the danger of animals or natural disasters. It was like that when one person had a problem, others would help him, and this is how unconsciously people tended to go to the crowd, because they felt in the crowd they would have been more secure. And this is exactly what is happening now. When you have an opinion that is different from everyone else, you feel insecure, you feel different from everyone else. And that's why people unconsciously want to move toward the collective, even if the crowd thinks wrong. And the bad news is this tendency to follow the crowd makes us more exposed to environmental impacts and advertising. Like the brands that use this method today and have attracted a large audience, they don't try to convince people to buy this dress. They just show in their ads that famous and professional people use this dress. For example, when an athlete wins a medal in the Olympics, many sports sponsors such as t-shirts, supplements, and etc. They go and sign a contract with them to advertise their shoes or clothes, for example. Now, why are they doing this? Why don't they give an ordinary person to do the advertising? Because they know that people are subservient to society, and when they find out that these celebrities and these wonderful athletes use these brands, they unconsciously want to buy from that brand. And the bad news is that this can also be used in propaganda and poisoning the minds of the public. Large corporations, and even the media, use this natural tendency of ours to shape public opinion. We are very often overwhelmed and follow the collective with directional stories, curated reports, and information that plays with our emotions, even when it doesn't fit with our inner selves. In one of his researches, Todd Rose points out that a large part of the American people in 2020 did not feel comfortable expressing their personal opinions in public. This shows that many of us are not only inclined to think collectively, but we are also afraid to speak the truth in public, because we are afraid of being let go. Others think that we really agree with them. I end this way, the collective illusion is created, and over time, this illusion grows bigger and bigger and encompasses the entire society. One of the most interesting aspects of this collective delusion is that each of us inadvertently helps reinforce it with our own behaviors, even when we don't believe in something ourselves, but ostensibly go along with it for comfort or security. An objective example of not following the crowd would be the story of Rosa Parks. In 1955, Rosa Parks was a Black woman living in Montgomery, Alabama, who was defiant of unjust laws that forced Blacks to give way to whites on buses. When the bus driver ordered her to give her seat to the white man, Rosa Parks refused. His seemingly small actions sparked larger protests and led to civil rights movements in the United States. His decision not to follow unjust laws and to defy collective pressure inspired many and caused society to gradually notice systemic inequalities and injustices. This shows that even a small individual step that goes against the flow of the mold can lead to big changes. Each of us, with our own everyday choices, can somehow change the course of society, even if those choices seem small and insignificant. But when we act contrary to our own beliefs, we not only fall victim to collective thought, but we actively help to maintain and strengthen it. Nietzsche and Schopenhauer, the great German philosophers, have a very strange thing to say about this subject. They say that today's world, it is led in a herd. The media, as well as public opinion, guide the people in the form of herds, even if they are taken to the bottom of the valley, and these people are enslaved in this direction without any questions. A philosopher like Nietzsche always insisted that a superhuman should be born in this way. A superhuman is one who does not follow these thoughts. He is not afraid to disagree with them, and he can be the initiator of a current of thought. Now, if we leave aside the social aspect of this discussion, this same superhuman can even live for himself, because the smaller scale of this has definitely been seen in our lives. For example, that we could not do something because of the fear of what our relatives and others would say, or that we did not go to our true beliefs because of the fear of being judged. We suppressed our own passions lest one day others judge us. It is said that one day 2 clever thieves go to the king and claim that they can sew a dress for him that only the innocent people can see, and if a person is a bad and sinful person, he cannot see that clothes. In short, by tricking and taking money, they make an invisible dress for the king. But the people around them do not see the clothes because there was no clothes at all. But because of the fear that others will think that they are not good people, they start to falsely praise the beauty of the clothes, talks about the brilliance of the fabric. The lawyer praises the brilliance of the beautiful pearls of the clothes. In short, when the news of the invisible dress spreads in the city, and the people go to see the king's clothes, and the king enters the palace naked, and all the people start to talk about the beauty of the dress, until a child shouts, "Why is the king naked, and why is he not dressed?" Everyone fell silent. Someone says that this child has not committed a sin, so why can't he see the clothes? Until a few minutes later, everyone says together, why the king doesn't have clothes. This story both reminds us of the danger we have mentioned and tells us the solution that the child did. The reality is that we humans have more power than we think. Sometimes it is enough for someone in the crowd to say that this is wrong, so that others will find the courage to speak up. Todd Rose writes in his book Collective Illusions, many of the beliefs that we think most of society believe in are actually a big illusion. Most people may disagree with that idea, but they remain silent. And in order to get away from this toxic and contagious behavior, it is enough to talk to others with a skeptical viewpoint. For example, say, I'm not sure yet, or I haven't thought about it yet, or I want time to study it further. By saying these things, you indirectly say to people around you that you don't have a definitive decision about that idea and that you don't want to accept it without a reason. My friends, remember that our greatest joys are often intertwined with our deepest sorrows. I hope this part has helped your life a little. Just remember, every great journey begins with a small step. Thank you for being with me on this journey today. If you liked the video, click the like button and follow our videos and stay tuned for my new videos. Thank you so much for always encouraging us. And finally, hello and the light of God's kindness shines brighter than ever.